and welcome to episode 6 of the Honeybird Studio podcast. My name is Jenny, and I'm coming to you from the Fraser Valley of British Columbia, Canada. You can find me on Instagram and on Ravelry at Honeybird Studio. This is a podcast primarily about knitting and possibly some other fiber-related endeavors that I might get up to in the future. But for today, it is pretty much all knitting, a lot of knitting. But before I jump into the knitting, I just wanted to do a quick admin section because I have a couple of exciting things to share. The first one being a giveaway. To enter the giveaway, what I would like to, how to enter the giveaway rather, is leave a comment on this video, and I would like to know what other knitting podcasts you are watching, or crocheting podcast, any fiber related podcast that you're currently watching, because I'm always on the lookout for new to me podcasts to add to my repertoire of the many podcasts that I currently watch. I'm always looking out for new ones, or ones that I have maybe been around that I just haven't stumbled across lately, or haven't stumbled across yet. So yeah, let me know below what other podcasts, like one or two other podcasts that you're currently watching, and that will enter you in the giveaway. And the prize for this giveaway, to keep it relatively easy, is going to be 2 patterns. The first one being a design of your choice, like a pattern from my collection. So any one of my designs, you will get that for free or as a prize. And then the second prize will be a pattern of your choice on Ravelry up to a value of $15 Canadian, which I think is about $12 US. So, I mean, give or take, if it's a little less, a little more, doesn't matter. But yeah, so, sorry, I feel like I'm speeding through this. I might have had a little too much coffee this morning. But anyways, yeah, so 500 subscriber giveaway. Comment below 1 or 2 podcasts that you're currently watching, knitting or crocheting or fiber related. And yeah, and on the next episode, I'll draw the prize winner. Yeah, so also on a tangent there, I just wanted to shout out a new to me podcast, and actually a brand new podcast that I just came across a couple days ago, is called the Afterthought Knits podcast, and the host is Thalia, and she's a fellow Canadian. She's from Calgary. So it was really cool to stumble across her podcast, as she's a new knitter. She actually just started knitting, I think she said last month, so in May, I guess. It was maybe like a month or so ago. So she's relatively new, and she's already knitting up a storm, and she has already dived into techniques that I didn't touch for a long time when I first started knitting. I mean, short rows, and she did a garment already. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't think I did my first garment until after a year of knitting. But yeah, so go check her out. I'll leave a link below to her podcast. Go show her some love, and yeah, hopefully you'll enjoy her podcast as much as I have. She's only got the 1 episode right now, but I'm sure maybe by the time this podcast goes up that she'll have another one, or she'll have another episode really soon. So yeah, all that to say, the second thing I wanted to talk about is exciting and a little nerve-wracking for me, because I want to host my first make-along, and I'm calling it 6 from Stash, and the premise of this make-along is to knit 6 items from yarn that's been in your stash prior to this year. So anything that you acquired from 2020 or before will be eligible for this make-along. And originally I wanted this to be like a year-long thing, so I had some more like rules and guidelines for like what kind of projects I'm looking for in the make-along. But I think because we're already halfway through the year, I mean, we're basically almost at July, I'm going to tweak the rules a bit to make it a little more lenient, given we only have basically 6 more months until the end of the year to do this make-along. I won't go into too much detail right now, because I'm going to jump into the knitting pretty quick. But if you continue to the end of the episode, I'll talk more about the make-along, and I'll also be putting more information on it in my Ravelry group. So hopefully I'll have that up by the time that this goes live. But yeah, so well, I have to make sure, I have to see if the 6 from Stash has already been used as a hashtag. So I guess don't quote me on that quite yet. I have yet to look that up. But anyways, yeah, so subscriber giveaway and my first make along. So those were the things that I wanted to get off on the top of the episode. But without further ado, let's jump right into the knitting. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is what I'm wearing, because it is a finished object that you didn't see on the last episode because I cast it on, I think, last week, and I cast it off not yesterday, but the day before, and I blocked it yesterday and then finished it last night, because you do the neckband after you block it. But anyways, so this is my I think it's pronounced Cascadas Tee, and it is by Susanna C. Again, all the show notes, all the patterns and stuff will be linked below. But yeah, so this is a modified version. I did a cropped version of it because as I was knitting, I wanted to try it on, and I happened to try it on at just the right length, and I thought, oh, this would be super cute with a dress. And so I did a 2x2 ribbing, and I just did a regular knit cast off, or a knit bind off, instead of doing it in the rib pattern, because I like the way that stitch looked there. I thought it looked nice and clean. So yeah, it's got a really beautiful lace pattern on the yoke. So it's a yoked sweater. So there's like increases all throughout here, and then short sleeves, and then yeah, it's usually, or the pattern is written for like a full length sweater, but of course you can modify it. That's the beauty of knitting. Anything you don't like or do like, from one pattern to another, you can customize. You can customize basically everything, right? It's pretty cool. But yeah, so this is I knit this out of Drops Baby Alpaca Silk. So, whoops. And the colorway, or I guess, okay, the color I used was 4314. It's this really beautiful purple. Look at that. It's such beautiful yarn. Let's see. Look at that. Oh, it's so beautiful. Let's see. This is 70% alpaca and 30% silk, so it feels super luxurious, and it was actually really cost effective. It was about $10 a ball, and I think I had 5, and it looks like I only used 3 balls to knit this size, which I think was the second size. Just looking at my notes here. Yeah, I believe I did the second size. Yeah, so it used just about 3 balls of the alpaca silk. But yeah, I love it. It's super cute. I can't get enough of it. I could not wait to cast, or to bind it off and to finish it the other day. So I do want to show, I did knit this, the Cascadas Tee last year, and I knit it like a full length one, so get a better picture, or a better view of the lace there. But yeah, so this one I did knit longer than the pattern says to, because I do like longer sweaters that cover a little more. And so yeah, so that's what it looks like. Woo. Nice. When you knit the full length, or a little bit longer than the full length. And I believe I knit this one out of Cascade yarns. I think it's called Roslyn. I think it's a silk merino blend, if I remember correctly. It's kind of, it's got like, it's kind of got like almost a tweed look to it. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Cascade Roslyn. But yeah, so this is a finished object from last year, so just wanted to bring it to show you what the full length Cascadas Tee looks like. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. So yeah, so that's what I'm wearing. Finished object number 1. Finished object number 2, finally got off a sleeve island, and I finished my Airy sweater. And this, this is a sweater by Isabel Kramer. So it's knit, like I said last time, it's got an interesting a new to me construction with the starting at the neck, and then you do a bunch of, I think you do short rows if I remember correctly, and then you join in the round. So you see the back comes up higher than the front here. So it's really nice, and it's got this beautiful, I think it's double seed stitch or something like that, and then some mock cables, a cable, some lace, and then it repeats or it mirrors on the other side, and then just plain sleeves. I didn't do any decreases. I just did a straight sleeve, and then I believe, what did I do? Did I half the stitches? I did a bunch of decreases to kind of make this little sort of a puff sleeve. I didn't increase stitches to make it more puffy. I just decreased stitches before I did the ribbing. And then so after you do all that, you go back and you pick up for the collar up here. And yeah. So I'm pretty sure other than no decreases on the sleeves, I'm pretty sure I followed the pattern as written. And this is made out of Briggs & Little Sport, and the colorway is called Mulberry. And this dried so fast. I soaked it and blocked it. I put it on the blocking mats, earlier this week, and the next day it was dry. I mean, I have a fan blowing on it, but I was surprised as just how quickly it did dry. I was able to cut out all the ends that I wove in and then try it on, and it fits great. I can't wait to wear it in the fall, because it is definitely going to be a bit too warm for the summer. It's supposed to be up to like 30 degrees today, 30 degrees Celsius, so that's going to be fun. But yeah, so that is my finished objects. I'm pretty sure, yeah, nothing else is finished because I had a bit of a cast on party. As you can tell, like I cast this on and cast it off, and I decided that I was also going to cast on a bazillion other things, because as you can see, I have a plethora of project bags behind me. So now that I'm finished with the finished objects, I'm gonna go right into works in progress. And I guess I'll start back here. So what is living in my sweet treats bag? I just call it my sweet treats bag because it's got a bunch of like cakes and cupcakes and stuff on it. It's a project bag that I sewed myself, fabric that I got from, I think, my grandparents or one of my aunts. But living in here is a sweater that has been, this is the second time I've knit it, because the first time, of course, as you can see, I have no new gauge swatches on my swatch board here. I didn't gauge swatch for any of the sweaters that I cast on. I just cast them on as you do. So without further ado, let's see. This is the Felix pullover, and this is a pattern by Amy Christoffers. And I can definitely see myself knitting a whole bunch of these, because this is such a fun pattern. It's such a simple pattern. I mean, like, it's such a beautifully written, simple pattern for, like, if you want to knit your first sweater, or even if, you know, you want to knit your second, third, fifth, 20th sweater, I believe this is a great pattern. Like, there's so much that you can do with this pattern. Like, it gives you, yeah, I'm rambling. Let's just get into it. So yeah, so this is what it looks like so far. Oh my. Sorry about that. That's my needles are hitting the legs of my chair. I'll see if I can get that noise not as jarring in editing. Anyways, so this is the Felix pullover. So like I said, the first time, oh gosh, if I can get it the right way. I've got a lot of yarn attached because I haven't broken the yarn in several places yet. But anyways, I knit this sweater first on the recommended needle sizes, or on the recommended needle size, and I separated for the sleeves, I did the body, and I did one sleeve, and then I tried it on, and it it fit, but it just didn't fit the way that I wanted it to, because I wanted it to be more of a loose, airy sweater to to throw over dresses and stuff like that. So I hummed and hawed, and I was like, do I want to finish it and just see if it blocks out to be the size that I want, or do I just go back, rip the whole thing apart, and start over? And so after knitting on a bunch of different projects, I finally came back to this one and decided, you know what, if I'm going to spend the time, like if I want to wear something that I'm going to like, I want to spend the time to, you know, knit it properly. So I took out, I unraveled the whole sweater that I had knit, and I cast on again, and I went straight up to, I think I went 2 sizes up, or I went from a 6mm to an 8mm, because I didn't have anything in between available. I have one set of 6.5mm interchangeable needles, but they're on another project. So I was like, you know what? Let's just see what happens. Let's go up to 8mm, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, I just take it out and knit something else. Because that's the great thing about knitting, is if you don't like it, you just take it apart. You just unravel it and yeah, start again or do something else. So yeah, so when I started this one, I actually did a different cast on that I learned through another pattern that I'll show. But I think it's called a double twist cast on, and it makes this really stretchy, cast on. And I thought that would be perfect for this sweater, because I want it, like, you can see it's very, like, loose, lofty, I guess. And, yeah, so I was like, you know what, I kind of like the neckline that's going to create, or, like, the neck band that it's going to create, so, yeah. And you can see I kind of made it cropped. I might take it back a little bit more. We'll see what it looks like once it's blocked out, because right now it's at the perfect size, but I have a feeling that this yarn might grow, so I'm not going to weave in the ends yet. I don't know. Oh, well, I'll see. I'll figure it out. But anyways, oh, right, and the yarn, sorry, I keep forgetting to talk about, or do this in order here. The yarn that I'm using, I believe, is Diamond Luxury. I have should have the ball band here. Got it in this little sachet here. So this is Diamond Luxury Merino Supreme Aran. Yeah. So this is, here we go. This is a yarn that I acquired from a friend a couple years ago. They were destashing and actually gave me like a bag of yarn. So I have quite a bit of just odds and ends, and I think I only have 4 balls of this yarn, so I wasn't sure I would make a full sweater, but when I saw the yardage for the Felix pullover, I was like, oh, that's perfect. I have just enough for that. So I'm going to have just enough to finish this, this sweater, I think. I weighed my yarn, and it definitely looks like I'm going to have enough to finish it. So yeah, so that is my Felix pullover, my first Felix pullover. I guess while I'm talking about Felix pullovers, I'll dive into the second one that I'm knitting. This one is made out of, okay, so I really wanted to cast on another one, but I didn't have a sweater's quantity of yarn in my stash. I just don't. My stash is a lot of single skeins, or only 2 skeins of things, except for, yeah, there's a handful of things that I have, like, just barely a sweater's quantity of if I make the smallest size. So I went to Michael's because their yarn was all on sale, and I bought a big ball of Lion Brand Pound of Love. So this is 16 ounces, 454 grams, 1,020 yards, 932 meters. So that's what it is. And it's in this really nice burgundy color. Let's see, it's called Claret Rouge Bordeaux. Yes, it's a really nice burgundy. And so with this one I cast on after I had the first time I cast on the previous one. And so I was like, well, I didn't like the size I was getting, or the gauge I was getting on that. So I got my only pair of 6.5mm needles, and I cast on, and I cast this one on. I kind of wish, oh no, I think I did. Yeah, did I do the twisted thing on this? Yeah, I did. So I did the twisted cast on here too. or the double twisted cast on. But this is as far as I've gotten so far. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a full length sweater. This is for someone, maybe. I don't know, we'll see. If they like it, they like it. If they don't, then I'll take it. But I think what I'm going to do first is I'm going to knit the full sweater, full length sleeves, full length body, have them try it on. And if they don't like the length, or if they don't like the sleeves, or if there's anything they don't like, I'm just going to unravel it and make edits, make modifications, that's the word. Make some modifications, and yeah. I mean, if they like it like this, then maybe I'll just cast off the body and the sleeves and call it a day. But yeah, so that's my second, technically my third time casting on no, it was my second time casting on a Felix pullover, because that one's my third one. But yeah, so I'm really excited. I really like this pattern. Oh, the other modification that I forgot to talk about on the previous one that I also did for this one is and I'm sure other people have done this too, because why not? But on the side, so on the sleeves, there we go, you can see the eyelet, the yarn over increases. And I thought I really like that design element, and I don't, in the pattern, it's just once you get to the body, you just knit in the round. You just knit stockinette, but I thought it would be really cool to keep the design going down the side. So that's what I've been doing. I just figured out, I just figured out how to add that in, and that's what I've been doing. So that is my budget-friendly Felix pullover. That is going to be for someone in my life who might like it, but if they don't, like I said, I will take it. I will gladly take it. I want to replace all the store-bought sweaters in my wardrobe with handmade sweaters. I'm really excited to have more handmade sweaters. So with that said, we'll talk about what's in one of my fox bags, my big fox bag. So this isn't a sweater, it's a cardigan, but I've kind of put it in the corner for now, because I realized once I split for the sleeves, once I got far enough to try it on, I realized that it is definitely too small for me. So I thought, okay, the small, again, I didn't do a gauge swatch, so I probably should have gone up a needle size on this. That's probably my problem. But this is, I believe it's called All the Lights by Joji Locatelli, and it is an all-over cable cardigan. As you can, well, cable and lace, I should say. So there's not much to show, but like, as you can see, it's pretty small. But yeah, and then it's got beautiful lace and cable on the back here. So this had a really interesting construction. Again, something I've never done, but her pattern is so beautifully written that it was no problem. Like, it was so easy to follow. It took me a little bit to wrap my mind around certain things. I was like, wow, this is just a very interesting construction. But yeah, I think I should have gone up a needle size, or I should have gone up an entire garment size, because like if I try it on, like I can get it on, but it's gonna be tight. I think the sleeve, like I want this to be something I can layer over other things. So this is as far as I got, and then I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna let it sit and stew for a bit and decide what I want to do with it. The yarn that I'm using, I only was able to acquire 4 balls of this. It is the Cascade Yarns Eco Hemp. There we go. And it's oh shoot, where's my other ball band? It is 80% Peruvian Highland wool and 20% hemp. So I figured it'd be like a really nice, kind of like a summer cardigan, or like a summer evening cardigan, early morning cardigan. I don't know. But this is the color. It's really beautiful. Let's see, what is the colorway? Does it say? No, it just says color number 14. So yeah, so I'm thinking if this is something that I really want, I think what I might do is, yeah, I don't think I'll have enough yardage to do the next size up, but maybe if I make it without the pockets and make it a little bit shorter, I could probably get away with the yarn that I have and going up instead of going up a needle size, because I do like the fabric that I'm getting. Instead of going up a needle size, I'll just go up a garment size. So I think that's maybe what I'll do. Yeah, we'll see. So that's that. I believe the next thing I've got in here is, yes, this one was so much fun to make. This is another one that, again, I didn't swatch for. I just cast it on, and I realized after I finished the yoke, I had cast on with the wrong size needles. I was knitting with the smaller needles. I was like, yeah, this is looking too small, and so I had to take it out, do it again on the larger needles. So this is my Ranunculus, and this is a pattern by Knit Cafe Midori. And I know I'm super late, like I'm really late to the Felix pullover party. I'm really late to the Ranunculus party. Everyone, like these are patterns that have been out for a while now. I think the Ranunculus has been out for quite some time. And I'm pretty sure everyone's knit 1 or 2 or 3 or more. But this one's mine. Oh, this is looking like way more yellow on camera than it is in person. It's a little bit more toned down, but it is just so cute. Look at that. The stitches were really fun to do. This particular one up here, and I think it's again down here, is something I've never done before. So it was really interesting to learn a new stitch. And this is the one where I learned about the double twist cast on to give you that really wide neckline there. And yeah, as you can see, so I'm doing a cropped version. I think it technically is like a one skein. If you do a one skein project for like, I think most sizes or like some sizes, where you can get like the yoke, a short sleeve, like you would just bind off on the sleeve, and then you do a cropped body, and then that's basically like one skein of yarn. But I had 2 skeins of this, what is it called? Oh, here's the ball band. This is Concept by Katia, Kashwool. And this is 70% wool, 25% polyamide, and 5% cashmere. So this is that there. And this is, again, something I acquired, I think, a year or 2 ago. That's just been sitting in my stash because I only had 2 balls of it, and I wasn't really sure why I only got 2. I should have gotten more to make I don't know. I think maybe I thought I was going to make a shawl, but one ball was knit up into a scarf, and I didn't like how it was looking, so I just ripped it all back and put it in my Ranunculus. But yeah, so I think, oh yeah, these are attached, so yeah, it's really blowing out. It's a lot brighter on the camera than it is in person. Like maybe, no, it's pretty bright. But this is what I have left, and I just need to do one more sleeve. So I opted for a long sleeve because what I really like, and I didn't do any decreases because I really like the way that like this kind of like open sleeve looks. And when I tried it on, I was like, oh, I could wear it long, or I can roll up the sleeve to be like a 3/4 length or like a bracelet length. And I thought that looked super cute. I love rolled sleeves. So I'm going to do the same on the other side. I just, all my garments are in various stages of completion. If I was a monogamous knitter, I probably would have more done, but I would hop from project to project of like, oh, I've done like 40 minutes of work on this one. Oh, I want to do 20 minutes of work on that one. And it's like, oh, yeah, I just a little bit all over the place because I was just so excited with all the cast-ons that I had a cast-on party a week or so ago, and I just cast on all the things. And I've been having so much fun knitting. I've been knitting pretty much from the moment I wake up until I go to bed. Every free moment that I have. It's been a lot of fun. It's been so nice to have my knitting mojo back. So yeah, so that was my Ranunculus. Let's see, smaller, medium-sized project bag. So in this one, I have, oh, right, another garment. So this one is called, let me just check where's my notes here? Oh, here we go. So this one is called the Serendipity cardigan, and this one's by Kerry Bird Designs. I came across this pattern, I was on the knitting subreddit, and someone had asked for patterns similar to like those wrap style shirts, and someone had linked this pattern, and when I saw it, I immediately added it to my favorites because I was like, oh, I definitely want to try knitting this. And so Again, I didn't gauge swatch. I'm just going for it. If it's too small, I do know someone who it would fit. So, but yeah, so this is, whoops, this is as far as I've gotten. This is quite a few days and hours worth of work, because this is on 4mm needles, and this is the Loops and Threads Wool Like held double, because I'm obsessed with this stuff. It's very cost effective and it feels nice. And I really love this color. So the ribbing took me several days to get through. Each row took me, I think, 12 to 14 minutes, and then like that's one row going this way and then another going back. And now I'm on my decreases, like I'm decreasing every knit row, so you can kind of see there it's decreasing. So yeah, so it's coming along. I pick it up every once in a while, and I try and do at least 2 or 4 rows every once in a while. That's living in my coffee bag. Again, another bag that I made myself. So this pattern is a paid for pattern, and it's a little, I mean, it does, like, it walks you, of course, it's a pattern, it walks you through how to make it. There was a few things that are a little bit ambiguous to me, but I think that's mostly because I'm just newer-ish to garments. I mean, I've knit a handful of sweaters at this point now, but there's certain things that I still, like certain techniques that I haven't done yet. Like I have not seamed a sweater before, or done any sort of seaming before in knitting, or well, not for a very, very long time, or especially not on a garment. And so this one I had to read ahead to kind of wrap my mind around how the seaming is gonna work. And I have a knitting friend who I talked with earlier this week and said I might need her help. So depending on how this goes in the next couple weeks, we'll see if I need help from her to finish this or not. Yeah, so what's my next medium-sized bag? Next work in progress is, oh, this one's a shawl. Yes. So I had a ball of, so okay, well, I'll start with the name of the shawl. The shawl is called the Pardalote. Pardalote, I think that's how you pronounce it, Pardalote shawl. And so this is it here. I saw this and thought, oh, I really like that. something for the summer. However, I did not do contrasting yarns. What I did was I had in my stash, oh, the ball is, starting to do something wonky here. It's starting to explode. But I had a ball of Sweet Georgia Tough Love sock yarn, and this is her ice wine colorway. It was originally knit up in a half of a sock, and I decided, you know what, I would rather have it in a shawl. And I didn't like the sock I was knitting on anyway. It was a pattern that I was trying to design that I didn't like the look of. And then, so I've had that in my stash for a number of years now, and when I was at the yarn store downtown here, they had this ball of yarn by Smith & U. And it's a, what is it called? It's a sparkly yarn. Oh gosh, what's it called? Oh, I'm having a mind blank. But it's such a close color to this that I thought, oh, you know what? I'd really like that shawl knit in these 2 colors. Even though they don't contrast, I thought, a little bit of sparkle here and there would be really nice. And so I haven't touched this one in a week or so. I cast it on and I did quite a bit of work on it over the course of a day or 2, or maybe 3. So let me just get myself untangled here. Which way is the right way? Oh, it looks like this side here. So I made some oopsies, increases and decreases on the wrong side, but that's okay. It'll block out. But on camera, you can kind of see the contrast a little better. It's barely there. But yeah, once it's blocked, it'll obviously look much nicer. But yeah, so it's just eyelets, a little bit of a textured stitch, like a, where you can kind of see both the yarns there, and then the eyelets here, and some garter in between. It's a really nice pattern. It's really well laid out. and it's very, I wouldn't say, yeah, it's kind of it's like one of those potato chippy patterns, because you do the repeats, like each section, you do a section and then the next one, and then you do the, it's like section by section, and once you have it memorized, it's pretty straightforward and easy to go. Don't need to have the pattern. Easily memorizable. But yeah, so the yarn, yeah, I mentioned the yarn. So I don't remember, I have the ball band, but I guess I didn't bring it with me, but I do have the ball band, so I'll make sure I get the right colorways put on the screen. Another one living in another bag that I made. This is one of my earlier bags. It doesn't have my tag on it. But yeah, I really like this bag. It's so colorful. It's so bright. Next thing is in my little fox bag, which is a project that might need to graduate into, oh no, this is not a project that's going to graduate into something bigger. This is this is the beginnings of a Ripple Bralette by Jessie Made Designs. And this is knit with loops and threads wool-like. So I forgot to mention at the start of the episode that I did have 2 more finished objects, and that was 2 Ripple Bralettes, one in black and one in this beige color. But I already gave them away to my sister, so hopefully maybe I can ask her if she can take some pictures of it, and if she does, then I'll insert the pictures here so that you can maybe see, or maybe I'll have her take a picture of her whole collection if she is able to, and put a picture here. If not, then hopefully by the next episode I can share all of my own personal, all my Ripple bralettes that I knit for myself. But yeah, not much to show here. It's just I'm still on the twisted ribbing. I think I've got another 5 rows to go before I start doing the next part of the pattern. But yeah, that was really quick, easy project to breeze through there. The next one, I guess I'll talk about this one first. This one is, again, stash yarn from my stash that I've had for years. I think this is Sweet Georgia worsted weight yarn that I picked up and knit into a scarf. What was that? 2017, I think, is when I started knitting. 2016 is when I started dabbling in knitting, but 2017 was when I really actually started knitting, like knitting more than I was crocheting. And so I don't remember the colorways, but it was basically like this light brown, dark brown, and then this variegated color, which kind of ties in the dark brown and the light brown. It was I think I used these 2 colors, the light brown and this one, to knit into what I think the pattern was called Petal Cowl by Sweet Georgia, Felicia Lowe maybe, or one of the designers for Sweet Georgia. But I never wore it, and so I just took the yarn out. I just unraveled the project, and the yarn's been sitting in my stash for a very long time. And so this is just super simple. I just cast on a couple of stitches, and I think I knit 1 row, and on the next row I yarn over knit 2 together, yarn over knit 2 together. I'll have to read my knitting because it's been a couple of days since I've picked this up. Let's see. Yeah, so I knit one front back. Yeah, so you increase, yeah, so like to make this shape, you increase on this side and you decrease here, and then on the next row you knit all the way to this end again and increase again. So on every row you're increasing on this side, on every other row you're decreasing on this side. So yeah, I'm just making this mesh, basically just a mesh shawl. If I don't like it, I mean, I have no idea how it's going to look when I finish it. We'll see. I don't know. I might like it, I might not. This is a gift from my mom, and I'm not really in a rush because it's worsted weight and it's wool, and yeah, maybe it'll be a scarf or a shawl for her for winter or fall winter. But yeah, again, like I said earlier, like the beautiful thing about knitting is like if you don't like what you knit, you can just take the yarn, like you can just take it apart, wind up the yarn, or I mean, I guess if you really want to get the kinks out, you can soak the yarn, or like wind it up into a hank, soak it, and then let it dry, like hang it to dry to get all the kinks out. But I'm a little lazy. I just unravel the project and knit straight, or I just knit from the project I don't like straight into my next project. So yeah, so that's what's living in, again, another bag that I made. It's a cute little floral print. And then I think the last project is living in one of my favorite bags that I've made. This cute little bag with little trees and birds on it. Super cute. I made a bunch of these, and actually, like, before one of my local yarn shops closed, I did sell a couple of these in the store to some of the customers there, which was really nice. But this is a project that will probably need to graduate into a bigger bag at some point. So I do need to, this is pretty much, well, I have maybe a dozen more bags that I've made over the course of the past several years. But like, these are the ones that get used the most often, and I kind of just rotate projects around them. But anyways, so living in this bag is my, I think, okay, it's called Evening in Eden. And I believe I've got it here in my notes somewhere. One sec. Evening in Eden. Oh, here we go. Evening in Eden by Lynda Gemmell. I'll put the links in below so you can check them out on Ravelry. But so far I've done, I think, 3 repeats. And this is going to be a huge wrap. I mean, again, I didn't swatch for this. I just did the needle sizes that were recommended, cast on the number of stitches recommended. And after a couple of rows, or even after the first after the cast on rows at the bottom, or the cast on row, and I knit a couple of rows, I was like, ooh, this is pretty big. I mean, once it's blocked, it's gonna be massive. Like, that lace is really gonna block out beautifully. And the yarn that I'm using is the yarn that I picked up from my my local yarn store down here in the downtown area, and it was the Corriedale DK, and it's one that's spun for the wool company, the Birkeland Bros. I should go on their website and figure out more information about that, like if it's spun in-house or if it's spun for them somewhere else, which I imagine it's spun somewhere else. Maybe they card it at the shop and they spin it elsewhere, I don't know. But anyways, so something funny, or unfortunate, but fortunate. I mean, well, so this is a really big chart. It is 16 stitches by 42 rows or 48 rows or something like that. And I've been using a sticky note on my pattern page, and just sticking it on every time I get to a new row. So row 1, I put the sticky note underneath row 1, and then when I get to row 3, I put it below row 3, and so on. And I had put the pattern into my bag, the pattern page into my bag, and when I took it out, the sticky note was gone. And I was like, oh shoot, okay, that's okay, I can read my knitting. So I looked at my knitting, and I was like, okay, yeah, so I did this on the previous row. It looks like it matches up with this row. So I was like, oh yeah, it worked out perfectly. So I was like, okay, everything's looking good. I must have knit about 16 or 20 rows before I stopped. It's very important to stop and look at your work every couple of rows in case you make a mistake. But I stopped and I looked at my work, and I realized that I had started at the wrong repeat, and I had a whole row of all these little triangles like stacked on top of each other. And it's funny because it looked like it, as I'm knitting, like, because you're so close to the knitting, it looks like that the stitches are going in the right direction. But then when you stop and look at the bigger picture, you realize, oh shoot, I've knit the wrong things or the wrong rows. So what I did was I did, of course I'm not using any lifelines. I maybe should, but I think I'm okay. I live on the, what is it, the wild side. I live in the danger zone. No, so what I did was I just took another long cord with smaller knitting needles, and what I did was I did an afterthought lifeline. So basically I very carefully, and on lace, it's way more difficult to do it on lace than it is like straight stockinette or garter or something, because it's very hard to follow your row of knitting, or at least for me it was it took me about a half an hour to maybe 40 minutes or so to get the lifeline through, because I had to slowly figure out which stitch and then pull on it a little bit to see where it was on the next stitch, because every other row, or every knit row basically, has knit two togethers, slip knits, and yarn overs and all that kind of stuff. So I had to figure out where to, I mean, I don't know, it probably would make more sense to do it on the purl side, but the way I do it is I just eyeball it and try and figure it out. So I put the afterthought lifeline in, and then I took my needles out and I just started ripping all the way back. I managed to get it correct about 90% of the row, and then towards the end I accidentally was up a row. And the way that I do or have done afterthought lifelines in lacework in particular, or any other, honestly anything that has any sort of anything other than just garter or stockinette, is the way I do it is I put the lifeline in, I rip back to the lifeline. If there's any mistakes, it's okay, because what I do is I manually tink back 2 to 3 rows. I tink back 2 full rows and then 1 or 2 more until I get to the purl side, where I know all the stitches are correct, because then I can, you know, like tinking back, so you're knitting backwards basically, undoing your work. And basically when I do that, then I make sure that I pick out all the mistakes that I made when I did the afterthought lifeline. And so it does take a bit of time. So I mean, I probably undid about 4 hours worth of work, of lace work, and it probably took me what I say, like half an hour to 40 minutes to get the lifeline through, because it was kind of difficult, and then probably another 20, 30, I don't know, it maybe took me close to an hour and a half to do the whole process of doing the lifeline, ripping back, and then tinking back 3 or 4 rows. But in the end, I'm glad that I did, because at the beginning I was like, oh, no one's going to notice. I thought, you know what, if I'm going to put that much work into a big piece like this, I want it to be correct. And I'm just looking at it on the camera. I'm like, oh gosh, I hope there's no mistakes on there. Okay, it's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty good. So yeah, that's the story about this particular work in progress. So yeah, this is, I think I explained last week, it's just undyed yarn. Oh, and then the other thing too, this is like the 3rd time I've knit this pattern. The one thing that I found has actually really helped this time is putting my stitch markers. Like, I've got all these little stitch markers from Firefly Notes. They're super cute. Oh my gosh, if I can. Yeah, so I've got one marking like towards the end of my last repeat, and then I have all these little tiny silver cat ear stitch markers marking every other repeat. The only downside is that where the stitch markers are, there's a handful of rows where you have to do a 2-stitch decrease, so I just have to take the marker off, do the decrease, and then put the stitch marker back on, which is no big deal. It keeps me on track, so it's very easy to figure out if I've made a mistake, because I just count the number of stitches on the purl side to make sure that it's this many stitches in between each stitch marker, and that keeps me on track. So yeah, so that was a lot of knitting. I think I'm at just about 50 minutes now. So the only other thing is I technically have some stash acquisitions, but it's just like there are yarns that are already in projects that I've shown, or I guess it was just the Felix cardigan, or sorry, the Felix pullover that I'm knitting out of the Lion brand. So yeah, for stash acquisitions, all I have to share is a couple of books I got from a used bookstore. So the first one is this one, Metropolitan Knits. And yeah, so the bookstore I went to, we have one out here, but they have another location out in Chilliwack, which is like another half hour away from where I live. And they have a huge bookstore out there, a huge used bookstore. And the knitting section was like 2.5 columns of knitting books. And I was like, oh, perfect. Like, so I looked through, and this was the first one that caught my eye. There's some really nice patterns in here. One of them is, let's see if I can show it without, oh yeah, I think I can show this side here. So that's the back side of the cardigan, but it's got buttons down the front. And then I want to knit that. And then there was a cable cardigan. Where is it? Oh yeah, the Magnolia Cafe cardigan. I really want to knit this. That is beautiful. Oh my gosh. And then there's one more sweater in here that I want to knit. Oh yeah, I've got this. It's called the Skyline Tunic. Here, it's got this really neat, really nice lace detail down the side. So I'm really excited about this book. I couldn't believe how many, like there's so many more patterns in here that I want to knit. I think I might end up knitting just about, well, probably half of them in here at least. Like just looking through here, there's a lot. Oh, and this one too is super cute. It's got this really, it's got pattern details on the page, but it has a really, oh, here's another one. This one I want to make too. Oh, that's so pretty. I love that. So yeah, so this is Metropolitan Knits. This is Melissa Werrell? Werrell? I'm not sure. Not there. Oh, this is an interweave. Oh. This says interweave on the back, so ooh, look at that. Anyways, so yeah, so this was a used book, and then I got the holy grail of knitting, I think. And I got this for such a great price. This is the updated Vogue knitting ultimate knitting book. So this is a big hardcover book that it literally has everything in here. Has a little bit of everything. History of knitting, knitting supplies, basic techniques, understanding instructions, correcting errors, circular and double pointed knitting, color knitting, blocking, assembling, and finishing, which is something that I could use some work with in finishing things, because I'm not, or assembling, I should say. Care for knitwear. There's a little bit of a stitch dictionary in here, a section about designing, which is going to be super helpful for me because I think in here they have a section on how to do sizing for garments and stuff like that, which is something that I am definitely going to be looking into. But yeah, embellishments, modular knitting patterns, and designer knitting patterns. So there's a couple of patterns towards the back of the book as well. So yeah, this was, again, another used book that I got. And because I had a trading credit at the store, I actually only paid $10 for this book, which is amazing. Because I was looking at getting it through Amazon, but with shipping and yeah, it's a little bit more, it's a bit more of a pricey piece, but I'm super grateful to have found it at the bookstore and now have it as part of my collection. So I'm looking forward to getting to utilize that to its fullest potential. Yeah, so that's it for all the knitting, all the acquisitions, the 2 books I got. And so if that's all you're here for, thank you so much for joining me again. I hope to see you guys again soon. I'm going to try and podcast. My goal for the summer is to podcast bi-weekly, so we'll see how that goes. I mean, worst case scenario, every 3 weeks, but best case scenario, it's going to be every other week. Because I like I said at the beginning of the episode, I really want to be more like present on social media. I want to be more I want to interact with you guys more. I want to be able, like, I really want to make some knitty friends, you know, and because I only have like one friend in real life that knits, and we don't really see each other very often, and so it would be really nice to kind of get outside of my comfort zone and like start being more interactive on social media and stuff. So look forward to that, hopefully in the summer. Like over the course of the summer, I'm hoping to like build myself up to being more comfortable with my online presence. But yeah, anyway, sorry, I'm rambling. If all you're here for is just this stuff here, awesome. Thanks again for stopping by, and I hope to see you again soon. Yeah, so just before I end this episode, going back to what I said at the beginning about the make-along that I want to run. The tentative name for it is going to be 6 from Stash Make-Along 2021. And like I said, the premise of it is to make 6 items from yarn that's been in your stash prior to this year, so anything from 2020 and before. And like I mentioned, because we're already halfway through the year, I need to kind of tweak the rules and the guidelines for what is eligible. And so, yeah, I'm kind of flying off the seat of my pants right now because I kind of thought this through, but I haven't really like gotten all the details in a row. So what I was hoping to do was So I'm going to be posting this in my Ravelry group. I'll have all the details ironed out there, all the rules and everything. What I want to do is have a chatter thread where you can talk about and share any stash yarns, or if you have any questions or anything that you want to post in regards to the make along that's not a finished object, you can post in the chatter thread. And then I'll have a finished objects thread where you will be posting your finished objects. And the way I think I want to do it is I want to have 6 projects. 3 of them are going to be wild cards, so they could be of any size. They could be a big project, a small project, they could be a headband, they could be a sweater, a blanket, whatever. But the other 3, I wanted them to be specifically a certain amount of yarn. Well, my original idea was to have like 6 different projects, so like 1 pair of socks, 1 hat, 1 shawl or scarf, 1 sweater, blah blah blah. But like, again, because we're already towards the end of the year and we don't have that much time to knit too many things and you might not even have a stash to, like a large stash to knit from kind of thing, I thought, okay, what we'll do is 3 wild cards, so you can pick any project you want, any size, big or small, and the other 3 will be anything that's up to let's see, like anything that's up to like 300 yards ish, like, so anything up to a hat. So yeah, using up about 300 yards ish of yarn. The second one being anywhere between 300 to 800 yards. So I guess that would be like I don't know, a shawl, I guess. A shawl, and then after that, it's like anything beyond 800 yards would be considered like a big project. That's the idea that I have. I don't know if that will make it into the rules or whatever. But anyway, sorry, I feel like I'm rambling now. Yeah, so I'm just like, I'm also like a little nervous because I've never run a knit along or a make along before. So it's like you can knit or crochet, anything from your stash to be eligible for this this make along. I've only ever joined one other make along, and I only posted like once or twice, kind of fell off the face of the earth. So this is hopefully to keep me accountable and to get me back into Ravelry and interacting on Ravelry as well. So yeah, so look out for that. I'll put the link again below to the Ravelry group, and where you'll be able to find all the information on this this make along, because it's knit and crochet. Yeah, I think that's all I wanted to talk about. I think I covered everything. So I guess I'm just about at an hour now. I guess that's a good place to call it. So thank you again so much for sticking around and checking out what I've been up to this week. And I hope to see you guys again in I'm hoping about 2 weeks. So we'll see. I'll get this podcast edited tomorrow or in the next couple of days and have it posted by hopefully Wednesday or Thursday. And then I'm going to hopefully, record every 2 weeks, be more present, like start posting more on Instagram and start posting more on Ravelry and stuff like that. So hope to see you guys there. And again, just to go back to the giveaway, just a reminder, if you want to enter the giveaway, all you have to do is comment below this video and let me know 1 or 2 other podcasts that you're currently watching that has anything to do with the fiber arts, knitting, crocheting, even like, I don't know, weaving, spinning, anything that's been getting your attention lately. I'd love to add to my collection of knitting podcasts to watch while I knit. So yeah, so that's about it. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I hope to see you very soon. Happy knitting!